JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the last trading day of this week, guys. So yep, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Friday's morning session where we're gonna have a very quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff, basically. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. So, okay, now then, also just before we jump into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos. And of course our JFD Bank website, and specifically our JFD research page, which we also update on a daily basis. So yep, feel free to visit us here on jfdbank.com and click on the research tab right there on the top, guys. So now then, jumping into the charts, the first one I want to pick up here is Nikkei 225. So the Japanese index continues to rally, and look at this beautiful move. And yesterday I talked about this, and what I was saying, that if we get a nice push above this 24,116 territory, which, let me just remind you, that is the highest point was the highest point of this year. The index, yep, continued to rally, pushed above that barrier, created a new high for this year, and is now approaching this 24,448 mark. And let me just remind you what that level was in the past. That's the highest point of 2018, and if I'm not mistaken as well, let me just double check. Yep, we haven't. This is the 2018 level here, the highest point of 2018. Higher above this level were levels only last seen in 1991, guys. So you can see how far it has traveled. So yep, let's see how this is going to develop. But for now, this is the monthly chart here. For now, you can see that we're really rapidly approaching the highest point of 2018. The index, of course, is closed already for the week, so we'll pick up on this one on next week, and yep, hopefully we'll see how this is going to perform. But what you could do as well, if depending on the European and the US equities today, if those continue to rally, then basically what could happen basically the next week is that we'll have a nice opening gap here to the upside. So again, let's see how this is going to play out, but for now it's very bullish. I mean, it's really difficult to find a good reversal spot here for now, but again, let's see how this is going to develop. Now jumping into DAX here, the German index continues to push nicely to the upside. Yesterday we had a nice move higher here above this 12,540 zone right here. I talked about this one. We had a nice close above it, and then basically the index kind of stayed above it as well and closed nicely in the positive territory. Today the cash index right now is slightly trading below this, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check this very quickly. So slightly below the 12,500 mark, so that's where the index is currently sitting at. So basically somewhere around here, but that's still okay given that we had a decent rally here to the upside. Maybe it will decide to go for a bit of a correction here lower. If it does, and then we'll keep a close eye on the 200-day EMA, this whole area near the 12,342 territory. I talked about this week, and then we'll take it from there. Basically what could happen if the index decides to go for a bit of a correction, then something like this is the main idea that I'm going to be considering. If it starts dropping back below the 12,254 territory right here, maybe then I'll start looking at some lower areas, because maybe it's ready to go a little bit lower. But again, that's not the case for now. Let's continue monitoring the index, and of course let's see how this is going to play out. But for now guys, everything's kind of leaning a little bit more to the upside still. So but don't forget that even if it continues to rally here, then we still have this downside line taken from the high of the 3rd of September, which we will monitor carefully, because well, it might get a hold up here, so that's why be very careful with this one. Jumping into Euro Stocks 50, I haven't looked at this one for quite a while, as you can see by the arrows that have shifted here. So basically, let me just remove all the drawings and start fresh. Now, the more important thing here is to keep an eye on this little short-term downside line, this taken from the high of the 21st of July, and then yes, of course, if we see this downside line providing good resistance, then we may see a bit of a reversal back down. For now, yes, we'll continue targeting the upside, but I'll be very careful near this downside line. If this downside line provides good resistance, then, well, I mean, we could see, like I said, a bit of a correction here back down, maybe even all the way here back to the 21-day EMA, shown as the yellow line. But let's keep an eye on this one. Of course, if it breaks this downside line, that's wonderful, good news for the buyers. However, if you want to be a little bit more on the safe side, just wait for a push above the 3,282 territory right here, and then aim for some higher levels. Then of course we could start looking at the highest point of October, near the 3,305 zone, or even above that. But again, what we need first is a nice break of this downside line. But even before that, we need to see a nice good test of this downside line. So in other words, from the very short-term perspective, I'm still aiming for some higher levels here, but again, we'll be very careful with that as well. Now, oh, by the way, in terms of the downside for this one, probably I'll start looking at some lower levels if we get a drop somewhere below this 3,097 territory, and then yep, we could get a little bit more excited with further declines. DXY, so DXY is remained below this 93.12 zone. I talked about this yesterday and basically saying that if it stays below it, then there is a chance we could see a further move lower. For now, it's not really looking good here for the US dollar. Of course, right now the situation in terms of the political situation in the U.S. is still unclear. However, it seems like Biden is leading the way. But let's keep all that till the end. I mean, till the final results are out, because as we know, sometimes in U.S. elections they do like to make a good show, and basically everything can turn around very quickly. So yeah, so let's be very careful with that, guys. Not saying anything right now, but just probably the best option is to wait and see, and not to try not to predict. So for now, basically, the only thing we can do here is to go from the technical side. And as you can see, this 92.47 territory right here did provide very good support yesterday. That's the lowest point of October. So if we get a nice drop below that area, then yes, I'll start looking at some lower areas, lower levels. And then we'll take it from there, because then the index here could travel towards the 92.24 zone, or even better, towards the lowest point of September near the 91.75 territory right here. So keep your eyes on that one. In terms of the upside, well, we need to see now. I'll have to readjust here everything, because the kind of the outlook is changing a little bit here. So with the upside, so basically previously I talked about this level. Now, given that it got violated, but it didn't really work out that well. Well, maybe because of the whole kind of, like I said, instability in the political system here in the US. But yeah, for now, basically what I'm gonna do here is, in order to consider the upside, I would like to see at least a push back above the 93.55 level right here. I'll get rid of this upside line as well, and yep, a nice good push back above this 93.55 territory could do the trick, maybe for more buyers. So let's see about how this is going to play out, because at the same time the price would be placed back above the 21-day EMA. Jumping into gold, and gold rallied nicely because of course the weakness in the US dollar. Gold traveled all the way here above this 1933 territory, basically basically everything worked out nicely according to the plan. Yesterday and before in the morning, and actually on Wednesday as well, I was talking about this one for you guys to keep an eye on the 1911 territory here. As you can see, it broke it nicely to the upside, and not only that, it also broke the 1933 mark as well, and remained above it. So although we saw a bit of a correction here this morning already, still the price remains above this 1933 zone. So let's keep an eye on this one. Let's see how this is going to play out, but for now everything's kind of leaning a little bit more to the upside. So if it continues to trade above this 1933 territory, then yep, I'll continue targeting higher areas. And of course that will heavily depend on the US dollar, because if the dollar somehow manages to catch some ground, then, well, I mean, it could drift, this commodity could drift heavily here to the downside. So let's keep an eye on that one. WTI oil, so drifting lower and drifting back below this 38.31 zone. Now this places the commodity here into my neutral zone here. Basically I'm going to remain neutral here, because in order to aim for some higher levels, I need to see a nice good strong push above the 39.23 level, marked by the high of the 4th of November. Yesterday we saw the commodity trying to overcome it, and it did overcome it just a little bit here, but quickly reversed back down, and that's why I need to keep an eye on this. I want to keep an eye on this 39.23 level, because a nice good pop above it may also open the door towards a move, or not open the door, but basically place the price above the 100-day EMA here, shown as the green line, and then yep, more buyers maybe could see this as a good opportunity to step in. So that's why be very careful, be very cautious, and yep, let's see how this is going to play out. But even for the downside, I would prefer to wait for at least a drop below the 36.36 territory, 36.66 territory. There we go, and that's marked by the low of the lowest point of October. No, that's not the low of the 2nd of October, and then yep, in a way we could start looking at some lower areas. But again, at the moment, it's stuck here. It's basically in my neutral zone, so I'm just going to continue just observing the price action. Now, Ethereum, of course, as we know, Bitcoin is exploding to the upside. All the other cryptos are slowly picking up as well. The slowest one is the Ripple, but Ethereum here is doing well. It's popping above this 421.40 zone. I talked about this, guys, this week, and basically look at this beautiful move here. This confirmed the forthcoming higher high, and my next target right now is this 447.50 territory, marked by the high of the 17th of August, and if I'm not mistaken, that's also the highest point of August. So yes, that's the highest point of August, and if it continues to climb above that level as well, then the next target is the highest point of September, near the 489.50 level. So let's see how all this is going to play out, guys. In terms of the downside, I would need to see this one dropping back below the 395 territory right here, or even actually, let me just adjust this. Probably I'll have to adjust this like with DXY, because probably this is no longer valid, guys. So there we go. So now what I'm going to look at here for the downside is probably maybe for a drop below this this 404.50 territory. Now a nice good drop below this may also increase the chances for a move lower. Of course, we will have the 21-day EMA to deal with as well, but if that gets dealt with, then yes, further decline here could be possible. But at the moment, everything's leaning a little bit more to the upside. So jumping into AUD USD, so the pair is comfortably pushing higher today. This morning we're seeing a bit of a correction here to the downside, which is quite okay still, because we're still hanging above this October high, which is around the 0.7245 mark right here. So if it remains above this area, then we could see a further push higher, guys. If you're a little bit more skeptical, and given the sharp up move that we already had this week, you could wait for a push above the 0.7289 level first, and then aim for some higher levels, because such a move would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and potentially open the door towards higher levels. But if you're if you're a little bit more risky, then keep your eyes on this level here, the 0.7245. If it continues to provide support, then we may see a nice rebound and a push higher. But if it drops below this, if it moves below this, shifted the wrong thing here. If it drops below the 0.7245 territory and continues to trade below it, then all this area will be somewhat of a neutral one for me, because in order to aim for some lower areas, well, I would at least like to see it drop back below the 0.7158 territory right here. First of all, I'll get rid of this this downside line, no longer valid. But if it drops somewhere below the 0.7158 territory, then maybe we could start looking at some downside again and aiming for this 0.70 level again. So let's keep an eye on that one, guys. Now then, USD CAD. Now here, the pair is recovering somewhat. So after it dropped below this 1.31 territory, I talked about this yesterday, guys, and basically what I was saying, that if we get a drop, a nice good drop below, then yes, it increases the chances for a further move lower. But what I was also saying yesterday, that given that we already had the drop, and I think if I'm in my traders tea time, that's where I've mentioned it. Yes, there we go. So in my traders tea time yesterday, we were hanging around here, and this is exactly what I was saying, guys, that if you missed the move here, don't try to catch it, because this is what could happen. The pair could retrace back up here, could travel back towards this area, somewhere towards this 1.31 zone, and if, let's say, if it struggles to overcome it, then we could see another potential slide. But here, never try to chase it, guys, because again, it could happen something like this, because my target is still the 1.20 excuse me, 1.2995 zone, and but now it's going to be quite interesting to see if we can if the pair struggles to overcome this 1.31 zone. If it does, then, well, yep, another slide is possible. But if it climbs back above it, well, all this area for me will be somewhat of a neutral one. But if it starts pushing back somewhere above this 1.3180 territory, now this is where maybe we could consider maybe a bit of a move higher. So let's keep an eye on this one, guys. For now, like I said, all eyes are on this 1.31 zone, and if that provides good resistance, then yep, another slide is possible. GBP NZD. So the pair is drifting lower. Yesterday we saw a break of this hurdle, this key area near the 1.9347. I talked about this one this week, and what I was saying, that if the pair stays, if the daily candle stays below this, then, well, I mean, yes, further declines are possible, but it didn't. Instead, the pair is trying to move below it today, and for now it's doing everything what it needs to do. But again, let's keep an eye on this daily candle, because if it drops below this, then yes, great news. If it's, or should I say, sorry, if it remains below this, then yes, great news. We could see a further move lower. But if it struggles once again, then, well, I mean, maybe it's not really ready to go lower. But again, maybe this is something will be left for next week. So for today as well, what you could do is, given that we saw a drop already below yesterday's low, a small one, a fractional one only, if we get another drop, now this is, well, like I said, where we could start looking at some lower levels, but of course we'll have our stop loss in place. And just as I've explained to you guys yesterday and this week in general, that if you, once you're in profit, just basically try to protect yourself and put your stop loss and break even, just to see, just to be kind of a little bit on the safe side. If it reverses and stops you out, that's fine. At least you're not in the minus. But if it goes your way, then you're pretty much safe. And so basically, it all could work out nicely here. So basically, for now, guys, like I said, yeah, you could keep an eye on this 1.9325 territory. A nice good drop below it may open the door towards further declines. So let's keep an eye on that one. Now, quick update on Euro Turkish Lira. I mean, this pair is just unstoppable. I mean, I've been talking about this one for 2 months already, and it just continues to rally. This is basically showing you the state of the economy in Turkey. And I mean, yesterday the pair hit a new all-time high at 10.08 281, roughly around there, basically, guys. And today we're seeing another attempt to push higher. Of course, at the moment we have not seen a reversal here, and to be honest, we will stay away from the downside unless we see at least maybe somewhere drop below the 9.77 territory right here. But even then, guys, we would need to see at least a couple of days of trading here on to the downside, and then maybe we could consider maybe a further move lower. For now, you can see that the RSI, for example, and the MACD are hitting like the topping here, and basically at the moment it's just unstoppable. Like I said, so be very careful with this one, although it's very, very tempting to short, but not yet, guys, not yet. Wait for a confirmation signal first, for a reversal signal, and then yes, we could maybe consider. But I'll definitely pick up on this one again because, like I said, it's very, very interesting. Now jumping into Euro USD. So Euro USD is pushing nicely to the upside. Of course, we'll keep an eye on this one. The barrier that I was talking about here was this one, but basically what I was talking about yesterday, if you remember, I was saying that in a way we could see a bit of a correction here to the downside. We already got that correction towards this 1.1787 level, so basically it's working out perfectly. We might see maybe another little correction a little bit lower here, so be very careful with that. So be very cautious. Of course, guys, the most important thing today is, of course, also not apart from the US presidential elections, we do have a bunch of data coming out, so keep your eyes on the economic calendar, guys. We do have the US non-farm payrolls today. It basically kind of overshadowed by the whole political games in the US. We have, yes, like I said, we have the non-farm payrolls. We have Canadian employment numbers. So this is where USD CAD could go wild for a little bit. So that's why be very careful today, guys. Be very cautious. And of course, let's see how all this is going to play out. But for the euro dollar, for now, I'm going to take a bit of a careful approach here. And like I said, given the situation, given the whole kind of economic data releases and the political situation. So if we get a pop above this 1.1867 territory, that's where it could become a little bit more interesting for more buyers, and we could start looking at some higher levels. Let me just grab this arrow, grab the wrong thing. So there we go. So somewhere around, yes, there we go, 1.1867, a nice good push above it may open the door towards higher levels, and then yes, we could continue targeting the upside. But for now, I'm just gonna take a little bit of a careful approach here and stand pat. So in terms of the downside, well, I mean, we could start looking at some lower levels again if we get a drop below the 1.1696 level. So keep your eyes on that one. So okay, guys, I hope you found this useful. I really appreciate you joining in. Really, like I said, I really hope you got something out of this. But I hope you, the most important, I hope you have a safe trading day today, guys. I mean, again, we might see a bit of jumpiness in different assets. So I hope you will have your stop losses in place and protect yourself. So be very careful, and I'll see you later in my Traders Tea Time, 14:15 GMT. Thank you very much, and bye for now.